There are two elements to a fantasy season. One is data, the other is chance. Somewhere in between lies the truth. This is Unhinged. Welcome to Unhinged, right here on the Undroppables Network. Brought to you in part by Fast Draft. Do you like to draft? Do you want to draft faster? Draft faster with Fast Draft. Go to fastdraft.app and get your account ready. If you enter the promo code BOOTH, BOOTH, that will give you a $50 first-time deposit match, and you can get going. It's a whole lot of best ball. It's DFS during the season, but right now the Origins rookie draft is live. Get in there, take your 6 guys, arrange them how you want their bonus points to be, and take advantage of some of these margins that are out there. Some of these guys who are going to produce that are going later in the drafts, like DJ Giddens and Taj Brooks. Or just go chalk and take your guys, whatever. Do whatever you want, but go play Fast Draft, fastdraft.app, and use promo code BOOTH. All right, I have a special guest today, and just to give you a little bit of background, there was a mock draft that I entered and then watched the show that resulted from that mock draft. And this guy was in the mock draft and he was on the show and he had some takes. And I was like, ooh, I vehemently disagree with that. Or, he and I are on the same page, but nobody else is. And so I was like, that would make the perfect guest for the show. He could come on. We could argue about stuff. We're going to agree on stuff. You may know him as Hot Take Trey if you watch that particular show. Hot Take Trey. That's a good nickname. He nailed the Bucky Irving call last year. He said Bucky Irving was going to be good. He called out Field Yates for Field Yates ranking Anthony Richardson as his QB5. And he won every single fantasy league he was in last year. Go to vendettasportsmedia.com. That's vendettasportsmedia.com. You know how to spell it. If you don't, you shouldn't be playing fantasy football. And you will find this guy. It's Trey Daubert. I'm inclined to say Daubert, but
see, I've never done one of those 23andMe tests. I'm technically half Italian, half German, but I'm kind of convinced that I might be French on my dad's side. So I don't really know for sure. I've gone by Daubert my whole life, but there's maybe an outside possibility I am French, so I don't know.
Daubert, or some kind of Canadian or whatever. I did a ancestry DNA thing and found out that I'm half German, which I never knew. I grew up culturally Irish, and my paternal side is like all British and Irish and Scottish, and then found out that my adopted mom was German. So she was adopted. She did not adopt me. I came out of her. We got Jamie in the chat. I'm the fastest fast drafter in the world. I have a pretty good ranking in the 90th percentile of being the fastest drafter when I draft Jamie. So Jamie tries to. I win every mock draft that I do. I am always the mock draft winner. Jamie tries to kind of horn in on that, but head to head, let's go. What's up, Shimi? Thank you for jumping in here. All right. Okay. Trey, you do a lot of stuff in the industry. Tell us about your website and then and all of the sports that you cover, because it's not just football.
Ooh, okay. I'll try to go fast. So I originally went to school for economics. I broke my back, lost my wrestling scholarship, didn't know what to do. I went into media. And I absolutely hated it. I never fit in anywhere. I was at Fansided, Fantasy Sharks, a bunch of different websites. I just absolutely hated it. So I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going out on my own. And here we are. I cover baseball. I was actually the person responsible for signing Zach Wheeler in the Phillies front office. I used to work for them too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
My guy. I'm a Giants fan.
Okay. He pitched for them once upon a time.
Yeah, when we drafted him, I was hyped. And then he went to the Phillies.
That was the Beltran trade, I believe.
Yes.
I do hockey. I do fantasy hockey, basketball, football, UFC. I wrestled once upon a time. So I try to cover everything. I even play FIFA. I love the college football video game, so I'm all over the place.
Where'd you wrestle?
So I'm originally from Pennsylvania, little dinky Northampton. my dad's more famous than I am in terms of that stuff. But so I wrestled D3. Once I broke my back, I wasn't really the same. But
Do you know Shane Gillis?
Shane Gillis. You mean like the comedian guy?
Yeah, he's from Pennsylvania. Everybody in Pennsylvania knows each other, right?
No.
So I mentioned I was German. One of the things about being German, I found out that I am Pennsylvania Deutsch.
Yeah, that's what I am half.
And we settled just outside of Philadelphia, some of the first farms and Quake.
I'm like an hour north of that, or from an hour north of that.
Okay, so if we compared a map, it would probably be there's some town named something town, and it used to be just farms. Now it's a town.
Kunkletown?
What's that?
Kunkletown?
No,
there's a lot of different shit like that.
Right. I was more being facetious because there's a lot of them like that.
Yeah.
But it was German farmland, German immigrant farmland. And there's something where it was like my ancestors, it was these two girls, and they found a guy in the barn, and the guy in the barn told them this story about being on a ship that was coming over and his wife dying and blah, blah, blah. And turns out that the guy had died on the ship too, but they knew his name, and it's kind of regarded as the first ghost story in America. And that was you
might have been there in a past life. You don't know.
Right. All right. But
yeah,
I digress. You like hockey. I want to ask your take. Now, my partner over on a bunch of other shows right here on Undroppables Dynasty Pulse, Mike, is from Winnipeg, and he's a huge Jets fan. So I was kind of following along when they were playing in their last series. What was your take on the Game 7?
I mean, I can't believe they scored. I thought the game was done. I thought the game was done with 2 minutes left, but
I turned it off at 3:30. 3:30 left.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down by 2. So
I love hockey. I mean, I just can't understand why all of these people like the NBA. It's just like, these guys in hockey, they have so much pride. They're playing injured all the time. Like, you watch these NBA games, it takes 5 minutes to review a flagrant foul that's not even a foul. It's just nonsense. So,
right.
But in terms of the Jets, I mean, I had the Dallas Stars ranked as my number 1 team all year, so I'm not entirely surprised. But I mean, Hellebuck's got to be better. Like, if they have any chance, he was literally an MVP candidate. And if he keeps playing like this, especially on the road, they have no chance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a good story in the last round, but it looks like they're
the Blues were also the 8 seed. It should have never went 7 games.
Yeah, but that's what makes hockey great. that kind of stuff happens. I'm a Sacramento Kings fan, but that's the only basketball that I watch. Like, I used to be a huge basketball fan.
Me too.
And since about 2003, I cannot sit through an entire basketball game, even when it's the Kings. Sometimes I have to know that they won first before I'll start watching, like how they came back or whatever. To start a game and finish it, I can't do it. The game sucks.
Just lacks physicality anymore.
Yeah, but I watch hockey and soccer and basketball pretty much the same way. After it's over, I try and avoid the result, and then I'll like fast forward through stuff. I'll watch the little ticker on top and see, oh, there's a goal. Stop, rewind a little bit, watch the goal, move on to the next one. All right. Here's Grindberg. Go Jets, go. Let's fucking go. And I missed that, Mike. Sorry. Okay, we got our first segment, and it's the Hot Takes Blitz. All right. First of all, we're going to talk about some stuff that we agree on that could be considered pretty hot takes. The first thing that we agree on, and I've been pounding this forever, is it's a bad plan to take a running back if you're an NFL team. Draft a running back in the first round. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first, I would like to say I love the music because I blast out to that shit at the gym all the time. I need somebody screaming at me. So
shout out to Dev, our graphics guy who put the videos together.
Great job with the music. Second, well, I guess I was a little surprised that we agree on this since, you're on the side of Ashton Genty. So, hey, how can you be on the side of Ashton Genty if you don't believe in taking a running back in the first round?
I had to talk myself into it. I hated the Josh Jacobs pick. because they're so I wanted something where like in the 4th and 5th rounds we're grabbing like Bashal Tootin and Raheem Sanders. Like that to me is how you build a team. Wasting the capital on a guy who especially with the running back contracts, like the environment that they're in right now, the depth of the class, like I didn't see any reason to waste the capital on drafting Gen T. After the fact, as a fan, I love the talent, and that's how we're going to close this show. Is we're going to get into our Ashton Genty takes because I have heard you have not heard me. I'm sure you've heard the things that I'm going to say, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Teaser for the people watching: you're going to want to stick around for the end of the show because we're going to talk about Ashton.
In terms of the first round running back thing, though, I mean, there's two real angles to it. Number one is financially, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like if you take one of those running backs in the first round, they're like the highest paid guy at the position.
Right.
Like Genty, as of I guess it changed with Derrick Henry, but he's the 3rd highest paid running back in the league. He hasn't played a fucking snap.
Hasn't played a snap. All we have is some like running around the pads, like rookie mini camp, and he's already getting paid more than anybody else except for like Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley.
But that goes back to the surplus thing. Like he has to be fucking awesome. If he's not awesome, you're already overpaying your first round pick.
Right. Right.
And then the second thing is like, I mean, haven't we learned like the worst thing the Steelers did was turn the card for Najee Harris? What did they really get? If you just take some of those picks, trade down 3 or 4 times, you can collect 5 or 6 guys and then take 2 of the running backs, and then you'll still probably hit on some of your later picks.
Yeah. And especially in rookie drafts. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But our founder, the founder of Undroppables, Chalk, wrote the Art of Dynasty, and I've watched him in rookie drafts and in startup drafts and stuff in leagues that we've been in, just sit there and absolutely great people with trading back, and just acquiring picks. Now, the Baltimore Ravens GM did an interview right after the draft, and he was talking about how you have values that are kind of very slim when you're talking about one player over another within the same round or within a couple rounds of each other. These are 99 percentile athletes on the planet. So the margins are going to be very slim, and there are bigger factors at play than college talent, including coaching, landing spot opportunity, things like that. Who's ahead of you on the depth chart? All those things. Character is a huge one too. So you have a situation where if you have 2 guys that are very closely ranked, trade the fucking pick, slide back, grab somebody else who's just as close, because if you can coach them up, you all of a sudden got a whole lot of value. The other thing is the crapshoot element of the draft. How many people fail out? 50% of the first round. So get out of the first round, stack those assets, and the more assets that you acquire, the more likely you are to hit. And the same thing applies in the NFL that it does in your dynasty leagues. Like, get the fuck out of there and acquire as many assets as you can. Because if you have a Blake Corum and an Audric Estime and a Trey Benson and a Jonathan and if you grab 6 running backs, then maybe one of them gives you Tyrone Tracy production, or another one 2 years down the road from your taxi squad becomes an RB8, right? So you take those chances. And if you only have if you trade all of your picks away, you don't have the chances. You have to be way, way more sharp in what you're doing. So it applies in dynasty
everything.
group.
I mean, even the guys you take in the first round, if they're not like Hall of Fame level good, multiple time Pro Bowler level good, you've made a massive mistake if you're turning the card.
So as it regards rookie drafts, and this is not on the little show sheet thing that I sent you, but this is something that I've kind of gleaned from watching the rookie mock drafts that we've been in, and a couple of the rookie actual drafts I've been in. It's about 6 or 7 players deep, and then the rest is just like fucking whatever.
And the timelines on those might be different to where, hey, maybe 3 or 4 of them are only good, and then 2 or 3 maybe come along years 2 and 3, but those guys traded those guys away at the wrong time. So, yeah.
Right. So we're in agreement on that. Okay. The other thing that I've gotten is that the tight end position this year is fucking bleak. There is no Brock Bowers.
Oh, yeah. For this draft, yeah.
There is no Sam Laporta. We have the top 2 guys going, Colston Loveland to the Bears, which is just a it's a nest full of baby birds with one mama bird. And then you have Tyler Warren, who's going to a situation where we don't know if it's going to be Daniel Jones throwing him the ball or Anthony Richardson badly throwing him the ball. We don't know what's going to happen. So,
or it could be neither of those guys in 2 years.
Right. And then we have the athleticism of Oronde Gadsden Jr. and the production of Harold Fannin and the landing spot of Mason Taylor. And everything is like, what the fuck? Just avoid tight end. You made the point on the show that you were on that, like, don't take a tight end and then get one for a third next year.
Well, I mean, here's a perfect example. Pat Freiermuth. He'll have a great year this year. Pittsburgh has nobody other than DK Metcalf. He's going to be the number 2 target in the offense. You can have him for free. Why would you spend one of these rookie picks on somebody who's, even if they hit, it's going to take them time to hit? Like, why wouldn't you just go get a veteran who's going to play and be good? Yeah.
Don't draft a tight end in your rookie draft.
Especially Warren and Colston Loveland in the first round.
Right.
Like, that's insane to me.
That's too much. That's way too much. Although Mason Taylor of the class would be the only one that I would want to come out of the draft with, simply because he has the opportunity to be the second or third target on that team. I mean, can't he beat out Stone Smart? You don't think so?
I mean, a lot of his production at LSU was a lot of dump offs. Like, I just never saw a guy who was making big plays down the field. I'm not saying he's not better than Stone Smart. I'm just like, what are the odds he's really a top 10 tight end right away?
Okay. That's good to know. All right. One of the things that I gleaned from the show that you were on, we are both big Rocco Becht fans.
Absolutely.
So I had at last year's Fantasy Football Expo, I had the opportunity to meet Chris Froton. And the first thing I asked him is, who's the best quarterback in college football and why is it Rocco Becht? And he about lost his mind. He was like, oh my God, I love Rocco Becht. And I do too. So I came across Rocco Becht organically. I'm not an Iowa State fan or anything like that. I play in Campus to Canton and Devy leagues. And so I was looking for waiver wire pickups at quarterback that were underclassmen that had an opportunity to start. And I noticed that Rocco Becht won the job at starting quarterback at Iowa State as a freshman. And I was like, well, this school put out Brock Purdy, so they do have some recruiting chops. I'll take a chance. A freshman wins the quarterback one job out of the gate. I'll take a chance on that, especially if he's on every waiver wire that I have. So I grabbed him, and then, he started to produce a little bit, especially in his sophomore year. So I'm kind of watching from there, and all of a sudden I see these guys, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, and they're starting to show out a little bit. So they hit my radar. So going into rookie season, going down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl, Jaden Higgins was like my dude to watch. And I came away from the first couple of days of practices just like screaming, you guys need to have Jaden Higgins on your radar. And everybody else who were industry people, Cody Carpentier, like Ray GQ, all these guys were like, Jalen Knoll won the Senior Bowl. And I was like, wait a minute. No, that didn't happen. It was Jaden Higgins. He's making people fall down. He's like stacking cornerbacks. He's beating them off the line. He's using good footwork. He's beating them down the field. He's like, his route running was, not Jalen Knoll level, but it was effective. And I was like, he's making like body turning, like good hand at highest catch point catches, like midair. I was super, super impressed. And apparently the NFL was too, because he went right up draft boards. And I
agree with you on that. I mean, I watched every second of the Senior Bowl. I maybe I'm not banned anymore since Jim Nagy took another job. I've been banned since he was the leader of that. But we do have the film version, and I thought Higgins was way better than Knoll in the practices.
Yeah, every show that was coming out during Senior Bowl week was like Jalen Knoll, and I'm like, what are you guys missing with Jaden Higgins? Are you just not watching him because you're so enamored? Now, you did have a take, and that was Elijah Arroyo absolutely blasted everybody at the Senior Bowl.
He dummied everybody.
Yeah, I absolutely agreed on that.
But in terms of Beck, though, I don't want to overgloss it. Like, the quarterback does make the receiver, and especially in the Big 12, where a lot of these defenses aren't really, anything.
Right.
I mean, they had legitimate quarterback play, those guys, both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Rocco Beck. He's going into his junior year. He is probably the most undersung quarterback in the fantasy space. Everybody's all about Arch, especially with Derek Carr retiring and the New Orleans Saints potentially having the number 1 pick next year. And like you continue to throw mediocre quarterbacks out there and then get their brains scrambled and their rotator cuffs shredded, and one day you're going to wind up with a generational talent like Arch Manning or your guy, the kid from South Carolina.
I love
but yeah, the Saints look like they're going to luck into somebody generational.
I haven't done my 2026 list yet. I'm working on it, but Beck will be probably higher than anybody else has him, I would guess.
Yeah, okay, I accept the challenge, and I will make him one higher than you do. All right, Jordan James is another thing that we agree on. This kid was at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, he's I want to say the second youngest running back in the class, which running back age is not. It's not as big a thing as it was 2 or 3 years ago.
No, but he got on the field right away.
Right. But he got on the field right away and came out as an underclassman. I think Dylan Sampson is the only running back in the class that was younger than him. But what he did at Oregon was when Bucky Irving got hurt, he outplayed Bucky Irving. And somehow completely flew under the radar for like his entire time at Oregon, which is great. So I'm trying not to leave any draft without Jordan James.
We're in agreements there. I mean, I had Bucky Irving ranked as my RB1 last year, and the entire time I'm like, his backup might be better.
Do you hear that, everybody? He had Bucky Irving as his RB1 last year. RB1, Bucky Irving.
It's all documented.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But it hit. So who's crazy now?
I got him in every league I'm in.
That's, and there were 2 guys that I did not see coming, and that was Bucky Irving, and that's mostly my bad for like putting too much into the combine results and everything.
See, I thought he had a great combine. The knee bend is what matters. Fuck these 40-yard dash times. They don't mean anything. It's all about how they're able to bend their knees in short area.
Right. So you were looking at the film of the combine. I was looking at the athletic profile at the combine.
Every time I watch the combine, I watch it, then I rewind it, and then I watch just their lower half again.
Okay. And there are combine takes, and I try and separate from combine takes. There was an article written by Sumer Sports last year that basically broke down the data on certain combine drills and how they affect performance in the NFL.
You should send me that. I would love to read that.
On all my shows, I pound that, and I mean it turns into like 40 is the best indicator for tight ends, but
offensive
the worst. What's that?
Offensive lineman.
Right. Well, I'm in fantasy.
Oh, okay.
So for fantasy positions, it rules tight ends, but it's like the worst for running backs.
Yep.
And I'll send it to you. But so I try and focus on that and create profiles based on their overall athletic profile, but I'm not really a film guy. This was the first year that I actually went in and started watching some film. I'm a spreadsheet guy. Okay. And so this was the first class that I really, a platform that I work for, we put together a rookie guide. So the guys that I was looking into, I started watching film on. Travion Henderson, which we'll talk about, is one of those guys. Loved the film on that. Jackson Dart, we'll get into that a little bit later. Loved the film on him too. But it was for the first time, I stayed away from it so long because I know how to read a spreadsheet. I know how to analyze data. I don't know I have a gut feeling. So when I watch film, so for example, you had Zach Wilson at BYU with all this hype, traveled to Coastal Carolina, and I watched the game and I was immediately out on Zach Wilson. I watched Cam Ward play against University of California, my Golden Bears last year. He throws a cross-field pick six to Noel Williams. Immediately out on Cam Ward.
Just so you don't like Cam Ward.
I don't not like him.
Okay.
I'm just not as high on him as 101 in the entire NFL draft. There, and Jackson Dart was my favorite quarterback of this class.
I like Ward, but I understand that the cross seam cheese thrown against this opposite side of the field needs to stop.
Right. So one thing that I've compared Ward to was I was a Pac-12 guy, rest in peace, and I watched a lot of Michael Penix and Bo Nix. And in 2022, those two guys had, regardless of the fact that they were fifth year seniors, fourth or fifth year, they had plenty of experience. Watching the games that they played in, I was seeing a lot of things like staring down receivers so the safeties could get a read. They weren't looking safeties off. Their footwork wasn't great. Their arm slots weren't great. And I saw them make a lot of the same mistakes. And I thought the next year for 2023, as they're playing, I wanted to see some progression. They stopped making those mistakes. Cam Ward was making those mistakes last year, and he's not going to have another season of college to work through that. He's going to have.
I'd argue some of that was coaching, though. Like Penix, as soon as he got DeBoer, I mean, every year that he had DeBoer, when he had DeBoer at Indiana or when he had DeBoer at Alabama or at Washington, his numbers skyrocketed. Every time he didn't have DeBoer, his numbers sucked.
Okay. But it just shows you how much coaching can go into it and how much development that it does take to be successful. And the point is that I saw that progression from those two. I haven't had a chance to see that progression from Cam Ward.
There's a great game for you to watch if you want to. It's Washington State and Washington. It's Penix against Cam Ward. Those two guys going back and forth, and Washington clearly has the better team. That's when I really started to like Ward because he clearly elevated Washington State, and they almost won the fucking game, and they had no business winning the game.
Right. That's winning quarterback play.
Yeah.
And I know that Cam Ward brings a lot of that. I watched him do it against Cal. There was a lot of referee shenanigans in that game that allowed Miami to ultimately win. But I need to see some improvement in some of those things, like not making that crossfield throw. And I think that if Cam Ward can elevate, there's a question.
I like his character
that under Brian Callahan. Yeah, character's great. You don't start at what is it? Incarnate Word and progress to Washington State and then Miami if you don't have what it takes, because
I think he's got that.
You have to put in the work.
Yeah.
I'm not as sold on Cam Ward. I'm not out. I'm just not as sold. All right. So Jordan James, we agree on. Also, shout out Pac-12. I hate Alec Manor.
Me too.
Hate him. You mentioned on that show how often he drops the ball. Contrast that with Isaac Tesla, who doesn't drop the ball.
Yep.
And I hate Alec Manor.
It's not like he just drops the ball. He's not open enough to just be having these catch problems. Like, it would be one thing if he's getting open all the time. He's not open and he's not catching.
But he had a 300-yard game against a guy who was playing both sides of the field.
It's the only thing he's got going for him.
Undersung Colorado State wide receiver Torrey Horton. We're both in agreement on being higher than consensus on Horton.
Love him. He's an awesome route runner. And the fact that he ran that time after the knee injury,
right,
he should be fine.
Then finally, things that we agree on: Dante Thornton and best ball. Now, I'm trying to get Dante Thornton is hitting the waiver wire in just about every dynasty league I'm in. But on Fast Draft and Underdog, I'm stacking Dante Thornton and Geno Smith everywhere.
Don't blame you. I mean, he's a big play guy. Like he's got one pitch. It's a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. You know it's coming every time, but he's going to hit on 10 of them. Like, it's just going to happen. I mean, 7 of the weeks he'll be a 0, but he'll have a couple of those balls where he hits. It's going to happen. So
Saturday NFL draft weekend, I'm driving from Green Bay back to Chicago to catch my flight back home.
You went to the draft?
Yes. And I got to ask Ashton Genty his first and last questions in his post-draft press conference. But so I'm driving back to go to the airport, and I put on the Reception Perception podcast, and they start talking about Dante Thornton. And Matt Harmon points out that Dante Thornton, 40% of his routes were curls.
Sounds about right.
40% of his routes were curls. That's insane. Tennessee is insane. They are insane. Okay, you sprint down the field as fast as you can, and then turn and look for the ball, or act like you're sprinting down the field as fast as you can. Stop and come back. Okay, and that's it. That's the Dante Thornton route tree.
It's good to have a basketball team at receiver, though. You don't want all the same guy, though. There's nothing wrong with having one guy who's just a little kooky and he goes deep or he comes back. That's it.
No problem. I need video of this because I don't have video confirmation, but I'm pretty sure Al Davis's gravesite, you see this skeletal hand come up out of the dirt and just go.
Oh, that was the most Raiders pick they made the whole weekend.
It was unbelievable. 4.3 speed at 6.5. Like, come on. Yeah. All right. We got Jamie in the chat. Have you I'm not talking about Dart yet. Does Max Clary and Joe Royer compare to this year's top two guys?
I think Kenyon Sadiq is the best tight end next year.
Okay. And he's from Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Isaac Tesla was made in a lab with the genes of Isaac Newton and Nikola Tesla. Oh, you know what, Jamie? I like that one. I like that a lot. You know, portmanteau, the two names. That's pretty good. All right. Continuing with the hot takes. I have Jackson Dart in rookie drafts valued between 105 and 107.
Is this for Superflex or 1QB?
Superflex.
Okay.
So I feel like he's going to be starting at least by week 5 for the New York Giants, if not out of the gate.
Maybe.
The only thing that he has in front of him is Russell Wilson and a bad contract for Jameis Winston, who could very easily be traded to New Orleans right away. He doesn't have a lot. He also has the draft capital investment from this utterly incompetent coaching staff that may want to save their jobs by putting him out there and winning with him, because then it makes them look good.
It's the only way they're going to save their job.
Right. And I mentioned earlier that I did tape watch on him, and there were some things that I was looking at, and I watched tape from 2022 and I watched tape from 2024. And the biggest thing that I noted was when he dropped back to pass and he threw the ball, it was 100% maximal effort with his entire body in 2022. So we're talking like he would drop back, here comes his arm, and then his body would follow. And he's 100% effort into the throw. In 2024, he was back on his back foot, wrist flip, much more comfortable. He allowed pressure to get to him before he got rid of the ball, instead of like throwing all that he had into the throw. There was a lot of progression there. Very accurate in the intermediate and short areas. One of the most accurate deep ball passers of all quarterbacks in college last year. And on top of that, he has the rushing upside, and he knows how to run an RPO. So if you put him in an RPO style offense and he's able to get rid of the ball quick, he's also able to wait for Jalen Hyatt to get downfield. He's got Theo Johnson in the middle. He's got Wandale. He's got Malik Neighbors. He's got 2 running backs that he can dump off to in Tyrone Trace and Cam Scattaboo. As long as they have made the requisite upgrades to that offensive line, he could be very successful in that offense. And they have a really good defense to keep them on the field and allow them to sustain drives and stuff like that. I feel like he is being undervalued if he's going in the second round, but I'm snatching in there all the time because that's where he's falling. If he was going at 105, 106, 107, that's where mentally I see him, but you don't have to pay that. You can just keep trading back until you get to 202, 203, and then grab him in Superflex.
So you went over a lot. I'll try to gloss through it, maybe add some bullet points. In terms of the max effort in the throws, I think you're 1,000% right. And it's actually a lot of the things that I wrote in my combine notes. You'll see certain throws where very stiff in the front plant leg. Like when he does that, he reverts back to the old habits. Those are his worst throws. Anytime he's very stiff in the front plant leg, he's a total mess, but he's gotten better in that department. I'll give you that. There's a lot of times, though, he's not driving the ball off the back foot. Like he's mindful that he has to do it, but there's not like a lot of natural power coming from the back foot. So he still needs work in that area, but it's been a lot better. I guess my follow-up question is, I don't know if we said this on the show or before the show. You said you don't like Caleb Williams, but he was the one that made Jackson Dart leave.
No, I didn't say I didn't like Caleb Williams.
Okay.
My point was last year, I thought Jaden Daniels was ready to perform right away, and it was going to take Caleb Williams a couple years before he was at the level that everybody was drafting him at. So I thought that Jaden Daniels was going to be like instant, like dinosaur capsule add to a glass of water, and Caleb Williams was going to be like, you know, a custard in the oven that you have to keep checking on every 20 minutes, right?
But that's the thing, though, because like back when they were actually in college, Caleb Williams was the much better player, and he made Jackson Dart leave USC. So what kind of player are we getting from Jackson Dart as a rookie? To where is he actually capable of saving his job? What if what if he's actually good, but isn't good enough as a rookie, and then those guys get fired, and now what do we do? So there's a lot of scenarios here that could play out.
And he becomes Sam Howell, where he can be productive right away, but then shuttled and, you know, with, like I said, it was more of a looking at the stat sheet thing with Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. The things that Jaden Daniels was doing popped off for me. He had his fantasy points as a senior at LSU were historical, top 4 of all time with Burrow and Mahomes.
Like the year before he won the Heisman, he would have went in the 5th round. But like that last year at LSU was unbelievable.
And that was more what told me, like, invest in him. Caleb Williams is a longer term guy.
Even if Daniels didn't do what he did as a passer, you knew the rushing was going to be there. He was basically LSU's best running back.
Like, and that's what I see with Jackson Dart, is bringing that 500 yards per year of rushing upside. You look at Bo Nix.
I don't think he's going to give you Daniels rushing. I don't think he'll even give you
not necessarily.
Yeah,
but he can be in the space where Bo Nix last year slid in with Derek Carr passing numbers, but he added 600. Like if a regular season of Derek Carr, you threw 600 yards of rushing on top of that, that's a top 10 quarterback, and that's what Bo Nix did. So all it takes is just that little bump that you get from rushing. So if Jackson Dart has 400 yards, Geno Smith ran for 300 yards and wound up as a QB5, right? So you just need a little bit. We knew Drake May was coming because of his rushing upside. We knew Sam Howell was a much better rushing quarterback than Jackson Dart. And he was, you know, first 14 weeks of his second season, he was like quarterback 4, right? So all it takes,
hit way too many times.
Yeah, that was a terrible offensive line, which we might see from New York this year.
This is the number one thing, though, that I worry about Dart. I actually think Lane Kiffin's a good coach, and if you watch a lot of his shit, I mean, he's got wide open throws everywhere. It's, hey, this defensive back, he's being put in contact or conflict. If he goes over here, the ball goes here. If he goes over here, the ball goes here. Like, I don't know what the stat was off the top of my head. I think it was around like 35% of his throws were deemed as wide open throws. That's just not happening.
That's a lot of Trey Harris and his 5.3 yards per route run.
And they were a totally different team when he was healthy and when he wasn't healthy. And the Florida game was a nightmare performance.
Shout out Raiders legend Lane Kiffin. All right. I wanted to talk about Jack Bech real quick because the conversation was he's a tight end. And I know I'm not saying like you're wrong. I know that you know that he was recruited as a tight end at LSU, but he is a wide receiver and he ran a lot of slot stuff. He's not going to be played outside. Vegas does not have any intention of playing.
He can't play outside.
He can't. He's a power slot. He's a hard blocking. He's a lot like Jacoby Myers. He's basically a Jacoby Myers analog. He's a blocking power slot that's going to help out in the run game, especially in 4 wide receiver sets. So I don't see a whole lot of like fantasy production from him, but he's going to be we're going to be very happy. We, as in Raider Nation, is going to be very happy to have Jack Bech as a Raider. I got to watch, they put out some documentary about his draft day or whatever. Made me cry. I'll admit it. When I interviewed him at the Senior Bowl.
That was awesome at the Senior Bowl.
I knew going into the week that just about everybody was going to be asking him questions about his brother. So I made it a point to not ask him anything about his brother, not make him bring it up or anything like that. And he was really good interview. He's got that dog in him. You can tell when he's, when he's talking and everything. I didn't expect the Raiders to draft him. I thought we were going to come out of the second round with either Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris. That was what I hoped. For the second fucking year in a row, the Chargers came out with my favorite wide receiver in the fucking draft. So fuck
We're
you,
both
Jim
in
Harbaugh.
agreement on that. I loved Ladd McConkey last year.
I swear to God. And he and Trey Harris together made me so angry. Jack Besh is a consolation prize. Yeah, whatever. Dante Thornton, okay. But God, if we could have put Trey Harris in that offense as the X, I'd have been a lot happier. And if we had Ladd from last year and Trey Harris and Brock Bowers, sometimes I'd like to do shadow drafts with the Raiders, and that would be our team right now is fucking Trey Harris, Ladd McConkey, and Brock Bowers.
With Besh though, if Myers is there, he's a zero. As long as Myers is there, he's not doing anything.
Not for a couple years, and Myers is going to be here for another
which means he's going to go way too high in rookie drafts, and you should just probably wait until the guy that takes him gets sick of him.
Yeah, that I don't have any Jack Besh shares so far.
Yeah.
All right. That's that. And now it's time for the Overreaction Station. All right. A couple of things to talk about. First of all is the Derek Carr retirement. I don't need to get into the fucking Twitterverse and the arguments that I've had over the years about Derek Carr. I'm a Derek Carr truther. I've never thought that Derek Carr was a top 6 or 7, even top 8 quarterback, especially in fantasy, but just in general in the NFL, he's always slotted in to me at mid 9 to 15, 16. He can be productive in the right situation. Obviously, he hasn't had the right situation since 2021.
We're in agreement on that. He almost won the MVP.
Two games in 2024, he looked like he was going to beat the fucking world. He literally put the team on his back in 2021 after Gruden got fired. Rich Bisaccia wasn't coaching that team. He had a headset on, but it was Derek Carr on the field who was literally placing the team on his back and willing the team into the playoffs with 4 straight wins in do-or-die games. And that was one of the things that was when the season switched from 16 to 17 games. So for all intents and purposes, that week, that 17th game had the makings of a playoff game. Derek Carr's never won a playoff game. 17th game of 2021, they're playing the Chargers. You win and you're in, you lose and you're out. It's playoff stakes, and he had done that for 3 weeks in a row. If he had won, or if they had lost, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. But he won the game 4 weeks in a row, including that Chargers game. Those were all playoff situations. So I don't care if in the technical NFL playoffs he was 0-1. He won a playoff game because those were the stakes. Those were the circumstances. MVP candidate in 2016 before broke his leg. I was there. It was awful. There's a line in Star Wars where Obi-Wan Kenobi is talking about Alderaan blowing up, and he's talking about the millions of voices suddenly becoming silent. That's what happened to Oakland Coliseum in that moment. It was 55, 60,000 people being loud, and then suddenly no noise, zero. Everybody just kind of stopped and went, oh shit.
And then you had Connor Cook.
My favorite Connor Cook story is the fact that
see where this goes.
I want to say it was the third or fourth round.
Yep.
The Raiders had the pick before the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Dak Prescott.
Yeah, and their intel told them that Connor Cook was the Cowboys' target.
He was.
So just for shits and giggles, they took Connor Cook just to piss off Jerry Jones. And the Cowboys, they settled for Dak Prescott.
Yep. We're on the same page on this Carr thing, though. He's the legitimate starting quarterback, and for a second-round pick, he's a hit. It's not arguable.
Right. I knew immediately. Now, I did shows between now and when he announced his retirement. And what I was talking about was the fact that he had a torn rotator cuff. That's not the injury that has been, like, it hasn't been announced that that's the injury that he had. But for all intents and purposes, with my knowledge of baseball and kinesiology and everything, those were the symptoms he was talking about are rotator cuff symptoms. He can use his arm without pain until he started picking up his throwing program in the offseason. Then suddenly he couldn't throw the balls that he normally could.
He was a big time check down guy over the last like 2 or 3 years too.
Sure. I mean, that had torn rotator cuff written all over it. So I went into this kind of rookie season expecting, okay, he's probably going to have surgery. I didn't think he was going to retire. So I've been loading up on Tyler Shough because I have zero faith in Spencer Rattler. Although Jake Haener is from Northern California, shout out NorCal. He's not it either. So it makes more sense for them to throw Shough out there, get him going, let him fail, get the 101 next year. The retirement was a surprise for me. Now we have a situation where we have 5 potential candidates to start the season for the Saints. We have Tyler Shough, Desmond Ridder, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Jameis Winston. Handicap where those 5 start in terms of likelihood of starting for the Saints.
Well, I mean, it seems like Rodgers is going to sign with the Steelers, and I can't imagine. Yeah, right. Very Chinese farmer review. I can't imagine he signs with the Saints. Like, that's got to be astronomical odds. Like, why would he sign up for that? That the Rodgers one doesn't even make sense. Cousins, is Atlanta really going to trade him within the division?
No, and who's going to trade for him? Like, who's going to pay that?
The only chance of him getting traded, I thought, was the Browns, and then after the draft, that's not going to happen. So Ridder sucks. I mean, you should know after watching Ridder last year, he's literally a CFL quarterback.
I knew from QB1 that he wasn't anything. Yeah.
I mean, Shough's probably the starter. Minus 500 on Shough, I would guess.
Is it?
I don't know what the real odds are, but that's what I would put it.
Okay. Yeah, that's damn. Okay. I think so too. I think there's no reason that the Saints don't have the salary cap room to make a move for Cousins. They don't have the salary cap room to sign Aaron Rodgers. So what we're dealing with is in-house Ridder or Haener.
Rattler.
Sorry, Rattler. Yeah. That's what I meant. Rattler. I wrote in my notes Ridder. I meant.
Yeah,
Rattler.
I thought you were talking. I thought that's who.
No. Desmond Ridder is now.
I mean, Rattler's just an idiot. That's his problem. He won the Elite 11 camp. He actually has talent. He's just an asshole.
But he doesn't even look that good. He reminds me of those guys that you played with in high school that were the best then and then never progressed.
He's
never worked.
Poor man's Manziel. I mean, you can just tell the partying has weared on him.
I'd rather have Manziel.
Yeah, he's poor man's Manziel.
I'd rather have Manziel today than Spencer Rattler today.
That's fair.
The other one is Jameis Winston. Now, Jameis Winston does not have a terrible contract to trade over from New York, and New York went out and they spent first-round draft capital on a quarterback. Winston has been in New Orleans before. You think that they're on the phone with New York going, hey, what'll it take to get Winston?
I actually think the guy that might be the second most likely is Taysom Hill. Like, what if they play Shough maybe 80% of the time and then they pay Taysom Hill for, a few series here and there?
Okay. That works.
But if he's a tight end in fantasy.
The other one that I thought of was Aiden O'Connell. He's on a very cheap rookie deal. He is a mid quarterback. He was 15th in deep ball passing last year. Should have gotten the starting job, but Getsy's a fucking idiot. And he could slot in for a team that doesn't have any expectations, play out the season. He'd be a benefit to Chris Olave because he is able to throw the ball. He's not a winning quarterback. He's very much a Derek Carr light. He's got zero rushing upside. You know, like not no fantasy marks by any means, but he's on a cheap rookie contract in his third year. He'd be as a fourth rounder, he'd cost nothing for the Saints to go out and grab.
He reminds me of like the 45-year-old version of Eli Manning, who was a total statue. He just can't move. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he can. It just takes him a while.
But that's another guy. He can't bend his knees at all.
Yes, and knee bend is important.
Yeah.
All right. Then we also have 31-year-old running back signs a 2-year extension, and I'm not talking about Raheem Mostert, because his was just a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Derrick Henry signing today a 2-fucking-year extension, $15 million a year. We saw Derrick Henry have a pretty damn good year as a 30-year-old last year. Are we just like ignoring the age cliff? What is happening with the Derrick Henry contract?
I don't blame them for it. Like, some of these slot receivers are making the same amount of money. I mean, Hunter, what was the contract they gave Hunter Renfrow? That was like $16 million, wasn't it?
Okay.
It was around there when the Raiders signed him. I think Darnell Mooney isn't Darnell Mooney and Darius Slayton making like $13-14 million a year.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same money as the slot receiver. So like,
I hadn't looked at that.
Even if he ages a little bit worse, is it really going to kill him? Because the contract's not crazy. It's like if they would overpay a secondary receiver.
But what does it tell us? What does it tell us in fantasy? Because James Conner just signed a 2-year extension. He is old as hell too. These guys are playing well past their 28-year-old age cliff. Especially and of course, historically, that data set has always shown that elite players play beyond the normal age cliff at their positions.
Some of these guys are
seeing it from Henry.
Like, who's built like Henry? And James Conner's another one. That motherfucker's tough. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, that dude beat cancer. If you go and watch some of those draft interviews, there was Ben Boulware? He's like, James Conner's the best back in the draft. Like, he's tough as hell. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have any problem with those guys getting extensions. It's not like they're 5-year extensions either.
Braylon Allen's built like Derrick Henry.
Love Braylon Allen. I had him ranked RB2 last year.
He was my RB1. And then Travion Henderson was my RB2, and he chose to stay at Ohio State and win himself a ring. All right, last of the overreaction station. I won't take Jalen Noel. If this draft was 10 rounds, I wouldn't draft Noel. He's the Jalen Polk of this season. Those are Trey's words, and there are quotations around them. If this draft was 10 rounds, I wouldn't draft Noel, and he is, quote, the Jalen Polk of this season. Tell us about your Jalen Noel take.
Well, I just think this wide receiver class sucks, and we have to stop pretending that all these guys are going to be hits. That's my thing, is like, nobody's going to sit here and pretend that, Benson, everybody took Benson out. He sucked. Like, what are you guys doing? I mean, some of these guys just aren't going to make it. Why won't anybody just say, you know what? I don't think he's going to make it. Nobody's willing to do that. Like, that's the part I don't understand. He's not tall, so that sucks. He's a slot receiver only. He had one of the shorter hand measurements at the draft, and he had a 7% drop rate. So if you're small and can't catch and don't really get open that well, and by the way, he did nothing for 3 years at Iowa State, like nothing. He had one breakout year. Now he posted some good bench numbers. It seems like he works hard, but this idea that like, oh, he's going to be the next Ladd McConkey, is like, he might be the next Ladd McConkey if he like stays in the league and figures it out 4 years later. Like this idea that he's going to be a hit year one is insane to me. So
I agree on the hit year one part. I also agree on the, like, there's no world where he's even close to Ladd McConkey.
No. But if you read some of these draft profiles that came out, it's, well, he's the next Ladd McConkey, isn't it? I mean, a billion draft analysts said that.
Were they missing the part where Jalen Noel, like you said, was doing that in the Big 12, and Ladd McConkey had like historic yards per route run rates, even in a small sample size, against fucking SEC cornerbacks?
Yeah. Wasn't a big time recruit.
Blew up zones. He was the zone
and
god.
If you just compare like their senior bowls, two totally different things.
They loved him at the Senior Bowl. His route running ability,
Senior Bowl.
Sure, and there have been like Tank Dell. There have been some Dontavian Wicks. There have been some anomalous Senior Bowl performances. And from the first couple days of practices, that was the scuttlebutt with Jalen Noel. There were two guys that every time they do a practice rep, the stands would start going, and that was Elijah Arroyo and Jalen Noel. I mean, just crisp route running. My comp for him was peak Hunter Renfrow. I feel like if
but that's not even a big piece in fantasy. Like how legitimately of a piece in fantasy is that?
He had a wide receiver 11 season. That I think is right. So his ceiling is peak Hunter Renfrow. So there's a range of outcomes where he can sustain that for a couple seasons. It's not likely, that's his ceiling, and you have to kind of like draft accordingly, whatever. I don't mind Jalen Noel. I hate Jalen Noel in the second round. Yeah. I'd rather have Kyle Williams, even though I'm not really that high on Kyle Williams. I think Ty Felton has a shorter path to production than Jalen Noel does. I think the values are very, very skewed when it comes to Jalen Noel, although I love him very much. Right.
I just think at the end of the day, like scouting is about eliminating. Like when the FBI uses, like they look for serial killers, they're not using the phone book. They have a criteria for what they're looking for. At the end of the day, we have a small, under-recruited slot receiver who doesn't catch the ball very well.
Well, when you put it that way, he's undersized. He can't catch. He's left-handed. Do you really want him as your catcher?
And who's been good at Iowa State in terms of these receivers? Like I actually kind of like Higgins.
Xavier Hutchinson. Sorry.
Oh, okay. If he turns into Xavier Hutchinson, congratulations.
He's about to. I don't know what Houston's doing with Xavier Hutchinson, but
it looks like they're going to cut Mechie too.
Which, that's sad, but whatever. Meanwhile, Jamison Williams is going to have a huge year. Whatever. All right, and it's time for bold predictions that probably won't happen. All right, I'm going to lead off with. I'm going to have you lead off.
Okay.
With, well, you know what? No, according to my show sheet, all of these bold predictions that aren't likely to happen are yours.
Okay.
First one is Travion Henderson finishes as RB1.
And you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I mean, if you just asked the recruiting industry, they'd probably agree with me because he was the number one running back recruit in high school coming out. So those people, the high school evaluators, would agree with me. Number two, I mean, like, I just think the universe gives us signs all the time. I'm a huge believer that human evolution is real. A lot of the good running backs that are kind of come through the system that were similar to Bucky Irving, they can all catch the ball very well. He's awesome at catching the ball. You watch that screen pass at Texas, he's fast and he can actually really catch it. And number two, I think a lot of the problem with these players that we're not really sure of, they're not sure of, hey, this dude can block. Like, he's awesome at pass protection. He's never coming off the field. And defensive coordinators, they don't know if he's blocking or if he's going out on routes. That's the sole reason, and I kind of went over this, that why isn't Kyle Pitts that good? Well, he can't block. And a lot of the defensive coordinators know it, and they treat him as a receiver. With Henderson, is he blocking? Is he going out for a route? Is he blocking and then maybe going out for a route later? So I just think in terms of scheme versatility, in terms of the actual talent, in terms of, hey, I mean, this dude is efficient as hell. I mean, 7 yards a carry is unbelievable. I mean, he can do a lot of different things. He's tough. He can, I don't care what anybody says, he can run between the tackles. And I think a lot of the people that, oh, well, he gets hurt a lot. I mean, anybody can go Google this. If they want to look at the cheap shot that Maris Leofold broke his ribs on, like, if that is that really a sign that he's not durable? Right. Like, I don't see that. So
yeah,
I love him. I think he'll be a Gibbs and HN level good. So if he finishes at, maybe it won't happen as a rookie, but if he's the best running back in this draft, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So I love Travion Henderson too. I got caught up last year in Fantasy Points had some data on positive regression, a return to efficiency rates for veteran running backs. And I called it on Ramondre Stevenson, saying that he would have a better year last year than he had the year before because he had a slip off in efficiency. Well, he did do better. He did positively regress towards his career, right, towards his career efficiency per rush. However, he was terrible and one of the least efficient running backs in the NFL, although it was an improvement.
But Henderson never fumbled Henderson.
Right. And you have Travion Henderson coming into a thirsty organization that is looking for change. There's a new head coach. There's a new offensive coordinator who is in his own head and feels that he's a genius. So he's going to scheme some things for Henderson to do. So this regime is not necessarily bought in on the previous regime's Ramondre share. So I can absolutely see a path for Travion Henderson to absolutely smash this year. There is, however, one problem in New England that will keep Travion Henderson from being the RB1, and that's Lan Larison.
Rex Burke had 2.0. I don't hate him, actually. I think he can actually be a role player.
So friend of the program. I'm actually in Davis right now.
Okay.
I went to UC Davis. I'm a huge UC Davis Aggies fan. I was spouting Lan Larison propaganda last year when he was in his fourth year. Been a huge fan for a long time. Got to interview
put up
him.
Monster numbers in the FCS.
Just insane. And you can look at the stats, and then you go watch the film, and you're like, okay, yeah,
I could see him being a Burkhead. I really could.
Absolutely. I can't wait for him to start getting an opportunity. I have DMs with him and his mom and his dad, and like we're back and forth and everything. Love it. What I preferred him to like take over for Dylan Laube in Las Vegas.
Oh, but he can't play.
But if he's going to get a shot, I feel like there's no better head coach to see him with the eye test than Mike Vrabel and go, I fucking like that guy.
He'll play special teams too.
And give him and he was the most efficient pass blocking running back in college football last year.
Him and Henderson raking that. It's actually Stevenson's a good pass blocker too.
Yeah, they're was not Jarquez Hunter. There was another guy who was second, but Lan Larison allowed 0 pressures in pass blocking.
Now he's not blocking the same level guy, but
sure, but he did his job, and I love him so much. I don't have any fantasies that he's gonna actually do anything. I called him a 4th round ceiling practice squad guy, and
this running back draft was so fucking loaded that maybe he would have been drafted in any other year. I mean, some of the Rocket Sanders didn't get drafted. I mean,
I know
this class was loaded. So
there was a point in time where Rocket Sanders was my RB1.
Don't blame me.
College football.
Somebody drafted him in the first round of our rookie draft like 3 years ago.
2022. I said Rocket Sanders is my RB1 of his class.
That wasn't crazy either.
No,
so there's gonna be some of these guys that don't get drafted at the running back position that become hits eventually.
That's insane. It's insane. All right. Elijah Arroyo finishes as tight end 1 of this class.
That's not necessarily my prediction as a rookie.
Okay.
Let me say that. I don't necessarily think like, oh my God, he's going to light the world. My Elijah Arroyo as tight end 1 is long term. He's the best he's actually the best talent at the tight end position. That's actually my take.
Okay. So you go into a dynasty rookie draft and you come out with 1 tight end, and that tight end goes to your practice squad. You can only have 1, and that's Elijah Arroyo.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
Okay. Not Harold Fannin? Not Aronde Gadsden II?
I just think Arroyo is like a different breed than some of those other guys. Like he can do a lot of different things. They actually line him at receiver sometimes. He can actually inline block. His frame is enormous. I don't think he's close to done getting better. He was an early declare. And in reality, like a lot of the things that people don't like about him is, well, he's hurt a lot. Well, fair. He's been hurt, but that doesn't necessarily mean he will be hurt down the road. And he was unbelievable at the Senior Bowl. Like I actually think that was the best Senior Bowl workout I've ever seen at the tight end position. Nobody could cover him.
And everything that people said about Loud McConkey last year about how he didn't have huge production numbers at Georgia. Elijah Arroyo, similar at Miami, but you can see the talent on the field.
Yeah.
My favorite tight end of the class is Oronde Gadsden. He had freshman and sophomore.
He was really good at the East-West game, actually.
Yeah, and he's a wide receiver. He's not really a tight end. He's certainly not an inline tight end. If it hadn't been for his injury, he would have come out after 3 years and been
NFL
great.
bloodlines.
That too. Although that's there's a lot of that in this draft. There was a lot last year too. It's like all these NFL players' kids are making it. This next one, bold prediction that probably won't happen. I don't know what the prediction is. I just have a note here. And you and I are in a lot of agreement on this, although it's for two fully separate reasons. You are lower on the talent than I am. I am lower on the situation than you are, I think. And that's Omarion Hampton. Not a Hampton guy. I'm not a Hampton guy either.
Well,
He's kind of the default RB2, but I'd rather have a Quinshon Judkins, a Travion Henderson. I would rather have Caleb Johnson. I might rather have Cam Scattaboo, Taj Brooks, DJ Giddens.
I don't think I'd go Taj Brooks, but I actually agree with a lot of the names that you just said. Like this idea that Hampton is this game-changing, unbelievable first-round talent. I don't see it. Like to me, and I've used this comp, he looks like a spitting image of Beanie Wells. He's not creative in any way, shape, or form. I thought his combine performance was one of the most underwhelming performances of any of the backs in the group. And like these ACC defenses, they're kind of overvalued. Like not a lot of teams playing good defenses in the ACC. So, he's a big body. I'll give him that. But like, I don't see any sort of like high level knee bend, high level change of direction out of him. Like he's a one cut. If you don't make the first guy miss, and some of the times like he can easily avoid a guy and he'll just run into contact. Like that shit's not working at the NFL level. And he can kind of catch, but he's not like this crazy, insane route runner. I just didn't view him as a first round talent.
And he's got Najee ahead of him.
I don't hate the Chargers landing spot, though. I'll say that. Like, not ideal that Najee's ahead of him, but who knows how long that'll last. And they actually have a real offensive line, so maybe it can work. But, like, in terms of his actual talent, there's just no way he's the 20th best guy in the draft.
They also have the best blocking H-back in the NFL, and Tucker Fisk. He's from my town. I know his dad and his uncles. All right. Jamie in the chat again. Jamie has a bold prediction.
Okay.
I will win SFB 15. That's not going to happen, Jamie. See, here's the thing about Scott Fishbowl. You're not going to win, so just have fun. I will have fun hosting. If you haven't signed up for the Scott Fishbowl, go to scottfishbowl.com. Sign up. If you're going to do a live draft and you're in the Sacramento area, on June 21st, sign up for the Scott Fishbowl live draft in Sacramento, and I am coordinating that, so we will have fun. I have Land Larison in 6 leagues so far. Good.
6 leagues. I'm not in 6 leagues. I'm not in 6 leagues. Period.
I have had the opportunity to own him twice, and I own him twice. Taxi squads are a beautiful thing. I dropped 55% of my fab on Gadsden in multiple leagues.
The year hasn't started yet.
No. That's okay. So what do you think of this idea? Because in a couple of leagues that I commish, I do 2 fab seasons. I do like pre-season fab right out of the draft. And then fab starts over when week 1 happens.
I like that. Because it kind of lines up with NFL cut day.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then when I started running off running back names, Jamie was like, "You're nuts." No, Jamie, you're fucking nuts.
7 weeks. Oh man.
This is a question for you because my answer is easy, and that's Taj Brooks.
I would agree. I'm lower on Taj Brooks than you are, but I would agree.
I see Taj Brooks with a very quick path to starting. The coach speak coming out of rookie minicamp that Taj Brooks is a bowling ball covered in razor blades. I love that. They love him there, and he's got draft capital over Chase Brown.
I mean, I'll say this. I maybe this is an unpopular opinion. I really don't think Chase Brown's that good. Like, I think he can be had. Like, he reminds me of the situation that Bucky Irving entered with Rashad White. I'm not saying that Brooks is Bucky Irving, but like Rashad White really wasn't that good. Like, he can be had.
He wasn't that bad.
Wasn't bad, but never efficient.
It's not easy to be RB5.
And Chase Brown, he really is a nickelback. Like, he's a shotgun nickelback. There's no reason why another back can't carve out a role there.
That's true. And it's very similar to Quinshon Judkins and Jerome Ford in Cleveland. Yeah. I could see by week 6, by week 8, Taj Brooks is the starting running back in Cincinnati and Quinshon Judkins is the starter in Cleveland.
That could happen.
All right. Now let's get to the meat. Let's get to the meat.
How long are we going on this?
This is it.
Okay.
We got this. I got a little clip a little bit later.
Okay.
But this is the heart. This is why I wanted you on the show.
Well, I mean, I could spend 45 minutes on this. Is why I'm asking.
Yeah. Oh, there's no time limit, but
okay.
so cook. But all right. This is a quote from Trey. Genty is a joke. All right. Another quote.
I didn't say he was a joke. I just think the way that I'm not anti-Genty. I'm anti the assholes that have put a fucking Hall of Fame jacket on him before he's taken.
We'll let you get there in a second. Yeah. And then that was followed by the Raiders are a guaranteed last place team. I can't quibble a whole lot on that because looking like on paper, the
odds market indicates that.
Right. So I'm not going to push back on that. But let's talk about Ashton Genty, okay? So he is by far the consensus, the chalk, the 99.9% 101 in dynasty drafts that aren't IDP. I have a 101 in an IDP dynasty. I'm taking Travis Hunter. I'm trying to get the second pick so I can get my Genty share. But he is. I have not seen a 101 this locked in. Bijan Robinson wasn't as locked in as a 101. Marvin Harrison Jr. last year wasn't locked in as a 101 this way. In single quarterback. In Superflex, Caleb Williams wasn't locked in. Genty is the most locked in 101 I've seen in a while. Why are you not as hyped on Genty as not just consensus, but people that like him?
I just think there's a lot of different reasons. We can go on this forever, but the number one reason why I just don't think this thing's going to translate the way that people do is the sense that, like, and I would imagine you might push back on this, but we'll see. I just don't think he was playing anybody. Like, there are 4 types of scouts at the end of the day. Number 1, the poor scout that doesn't know anything. Number 2, the picker scout who lets his bias get in the way. Oh, picks. Oh, he can't run fast. Oh, can't do this. Number 3 is the production scout where they just look at the numbers or they just look at the charts and they say, well, all of his metrics are off the charts. He's got to be the best running back. But number 4 is the projection scout. He's this. At the end of the day, we're evaluating snapshots and moment of time. We have to say he's this, he will become this. And I just think at the end of the day, a lot of people have looked at this situation and say, well, he's put up 2,600 yards at, Boise State. He's guaranteed to be a Hall of Famer. When in reality, the all-time leading rushers in the Mountain West Conference, like, none of them are hits, like 0. Donnell Pumphrey put up better numbers than him, and he was in 0. And I say this, like, I just think people really need to understand the Saturday game. The NIL and transfer portal have just decimated these lower leagues. Like Jackson Woodard, he was the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, didn't get picked. Ohio State had 7 guys off the board by pick 45. The Mountain West Conference as a whole had 6. And only one of them, Genty, was the top 3 rounds. All the other guys that got picked out of the Mountain West Conference were their 5th, 6th, or 7th round picks. In reality, he wasn't even going against anybody. And the games that he did go against anybody, I thought when the speed of the game actually ramped up, you kind of saw who he really is. Like, I don't hate the guy. I just think he's a lot closer to Doug Martin than anyone wants to believe, which everyone's going to view that as a slap in the face.
Muscle hamster.
Yeah, I understand that. But Doug Martin, I mean, he rushed for 1,400 yards once upon a time. Like, he wasn't a bad back. I just want to know, like, what's the standard of excellence here for Genty? Because I actually looked at the betting odds for Genty on DraftKings. It's minus 110 for 1,100 yards. If he does that in fantasy, people are going to lose their fucking minds.
Right.
He's being ranked ahead of Saquon Barkley, who just ran for over 2,000 yards. He hasn't played a snap.
Now, in redraft, I can absolutely understand how you're buying him at his ceiling, but in rookie drafts, it's a little bit different. You're kind of you're looking for production immediately. You're especially in the first round, especially at the 101.
He'll get volume.
You're going to get that.
He'll get volume.
You're going to get the 300 plus touches. You're going to get like the integration into a Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly run offense,
which is much better than what they had with Luke Getsy. I will grant them that. Like this idea that nobody's going to crack 500 yards again, like that's not going to happen. He's clearly an upgrade. I'm not denying any of that.
Sincere McCormick averaged 5.3 yards per carry with Scott and Norv Turner running the show, and even Zamir White was a full 17 game season for Zamir White with his 2023 numbers at 4.5 yards per carry was in line for a 1,400 yard season. Yeah. And I liked him last year until Luke Getsy happened. Yeah. Now you did bring up the Mountain West. Alexander Madison was he has been a somewhat successful NFL running back.
Yeah. Jay Ajayi was all right. They've had some.
Now,
but nothing I mean, if he's not better than Bijan Robinson, people are going to lose their fucking minds,
especially at cost.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Genty. There are a lot of like 4-way grids that you can see from different stats people, and he pulls that axis way far to the right. He's an outlier statistically. When you look at what he did in the Mountain West, and you look at the comparison between him and other running backs that have come out of the Mountain West in the NFL. He had a missed tackles force rate of about 40% of his runs. I think the next best was Madison in like the 20% range. Most of them are in the teens. Same conference. So he is doubling up.
Different conference, because those guys that were there, they stuck it out. Sure. They didn't leave. Like the defenses that he really went against, like, and I've been going over the list of guys that left these conference, like Isaiah World, he's going to be one of the best left tackles in the draft next year. Nevada is never going to get credit for him. Like he's an Oregon player now. And that's happened across the entire conference. I just think like a lot of those games, they're worthless. Don't even bother watching them. They're a waste of time. You're looking for ghosts. When the speed of the game ramped up, and if you just like give somebody this challenge, hey, person that doesn't know anything about football, watch Cam Scatterboo against Texas, watch Ashton Genty against Penn State. If you just do that and do a blind test of somebody that doesn't know anything about football, they're all saying Scatterboo. And I actually had my grandmother do it just because I wanted to test it out. They're all saying Scatterboo. Scatterboo actually elevated his team beyond what was expected. Genty never did that against Penn State, and he fumbled twice. And we're talking about a guy who has severe fumble problems in a bad conference. 9 fumbles over the last 2 years is just not acceptable. And we're also talking about a guy, he's not exactly coming into the NFL with like 0 tread on the tires. That's a lot of carries he's coming into the NFL with. Like, what are the odds that even if he is good, he fades in 2, 3, 4 years? Like, that's very possible, which is exactly what happened to Doug Martin.
Sure. And that's why you don't draft a running back in the first round. To bring it around full circle. I have had one opportunity with the 101 and had to take Genty. And then we got Scatterboo with the 201, which is a reach. And Tyler Shuck at the 301 was a reach too. But in terms of like our team structuring, those were the picks that fit and what we had to do. And that's, we're going against Chalk and Jax Falcone. That's one. So last year in our startup draft, we were the only ones who weren't trading out picks because we're going against Chalk, and that's all he's doing is trading picks. And he wrote the book, "This is how you trade picks," and then he's doing it. And we're looking at the 10 other owners going, "Why are you buying into this? He literally told you this is what I'm going to do, and now you're all letting him do it." We had some injury, bad luck, wound up with the team 101. But now we got Genty, and he's going to save us. All right. That was from our other discussion. Brown drafted in 5th and Brooks in 6th. Just saying. I had it the other way around. I thought it was. I have to check my notes, but
let me ask you this, because you're a Raiders fan, right?
Yeah.
Let's say everyone else is right and I'm wrong. Let's say he actually is generational. We kind of saw this with the Giants. Like, the Giants' offensive line was shit. Saquon Barkley is absolutely a dog. There is no question he is talented. It was the wrong pick. Like, they would have been better off trading down 6 times, taking Nick Chubb in the second round, and actually building an offensive line. This Raiders offensive line isn't any good. Colton Miller is a B. Jackson Powers Johnson might be good, and then the rest of your line isn't any good.
Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be okay. He's going to play a full season. He's got the center position locked down. Donald Parham is going to be a year.
He is a center though. Parham's a center,
right? DJ Glay is a year progressed. It's really the 2 draft picks that they took in the 3rd round that they got,
which aren't going to help you this year.
But
they might help you
at them and their ability in run scheme, those guys both were multi-positional in college, playing on special teams, playing out of the backfield on offense.
They better be hits.
They're very athletic, and they're also nasty. Carl Rogers was likened to Richie Incognito in terms of like being an asshole on the field.
A lot of starts. A lot of
shout out Brett Coleman.
So that's a good sign.
So I don't have any fantasies that Alex Kappa is going to do anything.
Yeah,
he's a fucking camp body. But there should be some progression. And we also saw improvement in the offensive line at 2 different milestones in the season last year. And that was one, when Jackson Powers Johnson finally got on the field after injury. And 2, when the run scheme changed as a result of Getsy leaving. So there is going to be improvement in the line.
Chip Kelly is a massive upgrade over what they had last year. Not denying that.
So I'm not necessarily in disagreement with you with Genty. So here's part of the process.
But let me ask you in the offensive line. Do you actually think those guys are like better than that Giants unit that Barkley had? Because at the end of the day, the fat guys up front win these games.
Right. As long as there is some improvement over last year in yards before contact, you have a situation where Genty has the ability to force missed tackles. So those 2 things combined can help elevate the Raiders running game. And that is some of the positivity. What's that?
We're not starting at a very high level.
No, but yeah, it's a low bar, but
yeah.
But improvement is something that I want to see. So there has been this process for me, especially as a Raiders fan. So pre-draft, I did not want to take Ashton Genty with the 106. I wanted to kick the can down the road with running backs, grab some diversively talented guys with later picks, and construct a running back room, but build at more important positions. I wanted Membo to be our 106 pick. He unfortunately goes 107 to the Jets. I think he could have substantially helped the offensive line for later round running backs a whole lot better than just bringing in Genty and getting some later.
I would have either taken Banks or traded down 3 times and taken Malachi Starks.
To trade, you need a trading partner. So that's not necessary. Although I do have a lot of faith in what John Spytek and Pete Carroll are trying to do. So going into the draft, I didn't want Genty. Once that pick hit, I had to start with the cognitive dissonance. I had to start convincing myself why this was a positive thing.
It's funny because I wrote that ChatGPT article today, and that's the number 1 thing that they put in there. Cognitive dissonance. Hilarious.
I mean, that's yeah, you need it to keep a smile on your face. I mean, it's how flat earthers live.
Yeah,
it's how they wake up every day and don't kill themselves. So I had to put my faith in this regime. Otherwise, there's no hope, right? So I had to convince myself why it might be a good
hope
thing.
That kills you. You're a soccer guy.
I'm a United fan, all right? Okay. So I'm a United fan, a Raiders fan, a Sacramento Kings fan. I know from misery. So I've had to look at the positives with Genty, and there were a lot of things that I found that I liked. Going into my pre-draft process with quarterbacks, this is one of the things that I brought up on shows, is that with the scientific method, you come up with your idea and then you attack it from every angle with everything you can to disprove it. So there were things where I said, okay, let's start with Cam Ward as QB1. Throw everything I can to convince myself otherwise. Shedeur Sanders is QB1. Throw everything at it to convince myself
You have the right
otherwise.
method, by the way, because I'm a firm believer that this stuff is American Idol. It shouldn't take you very long to figure out if somebody can sing. Like it shouldn't take you very long to figure out if somebody can dance. Like these people that like, oh, the tape. Why don't you just watch the games during the year? Like when I watch the games, every single time I sit down on a Saturday, I go in with the thought process, he sucks. Convince me otherwise.
Right.
He's not good. Convince me otherwise.
That's how you have to do this, because that's the narrative. Now I need to like attack it and convince myself otherwise.
Right.
So with the quarterbacks, I was able to degrade everybody from QB1 except for Jackson Dart. There was not enough to convince me that Jackson Dart wasn't the quarterback one.
Did you watch the Florida game?
No. But I did watch him against Duke. Well,
they lit him up in the bowl game.
Yes. So through that process, like I was able to talk myself out of a lot of people. With Genty, like there were things that I had to do the opposite. I had to like come to the conclusion and then support that conclusion rather than the other way around. So, I am not, if your point isn't that Genty's going to be bad, if your point isn't that Genty is going to be a wasted 101 pick, if your point is there's a better path in your dynasty draft, in your rookie draft, to trade the value of the 101 to somebody who wants Genty, and then use that to,
which by the way, you get a fucking
assets.
haul if you did that.
Sure.
There are owners in every single league foaming at the mouth for that pick.
Right. And every single league. So if that's your premise, then we wholeheartedly agree. I know that you're not saying that Ashton Genty is going to be a bust.
I'm not saying he sucks. Like when I wrote the like once upon a time, I said Mitch Trubisky, he's a sixth round talent. I'm not saying that about Genty. Like that is not my point here. I'm not sitting here saying he sucks. My point is, I just don't think he's a Hall of Famer, which is what everyone else seems to believe.
He is the offensive rookie of the year, and he's got a gold jacket already.
They built a statue for him. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
you can't say anything otherwise.
It's right outside of Oakland Coliseum. You might have missed it. Jamie, I'll draft Genty before the 101. Good for you. I don't know how
that works, but
that's Jamie being clever. But he's a Browns fan. He has nothing else. All right, it's time for the final segment. This is going to go quick. But before that,
rookie. It's all about rookie talk in fantasy football right now. So why not go use all that knowledge to do something other than a mock draft? Chris Jimino won $8,000 with just 2 teams last year, and each draft took 5 minutes. That's pretty good ROI. You can start doing rookie drafts for money today on Fast Draft. The Origins tournament is live. It is the place to go and monetize your knowledge of rookies and use your favorite player profiler host promo code for a $25 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
It's a $50 deposit match and use the code BOOTH. But I know, Jamie, you're already playing. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Hey, if they want to sign up and, maybe sponsor Vendetta Sports Media, give me a call.
I can put you in touch with Matt Kelly and we can get that arranged.
Okay. I don't have an underdog sponsorship, so.
Okay. We'll get you the little Fast Draft logo and everything.
Great.
Okay. So it's time for the meltdown of the week. And this was from last week, but I forgot to add it to the show. Last week, before we went on at 3:00 on Wednesday, which we always do. So like and subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll be back with you next week at 3:00 Pacific time, 6:00 Eastern. There was a tweet, last week at around this time, they were starting to release the jersey numbers of the incoming rookies and the jersey number changes and everything. And people lost their fucking minds on Twitter. It was crazy. Like, today is schedule day. Why do you get wrapped up in this shit? Stop worrying about the schedule. It's going to happen. Raiders are playing Patriots week 1. It's the get revenge on Josh McDaniels day. It's fucking go Raiders. But forget it. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. I know you might have to make travel plans, whatever. do it, but quit making it a thing. Oh, we're going to release one game every year. Fuck you. Just give us the goddamn schedule.
We're on the same page there. By the way, the list of opponents comes out literally after the last week of the year. Like we've known for months who's playing who.
Just not which day, not which. Okay, so the jersey numbers were released, and people lost their fucking minds. How is Ashton Jeanty number 2 with Jamarcus Russell? If you put a headline that you expect me to click on that says Ashton Jeanty picks one of the most reviled numbers in Raider Nation, I'm not going to click on it. Fan-sided, probably.
Big reason why I'm not there anymore. I started their
Athlon Sports, maybe.
I started fan-sided fantasy football department, and I don't think they've kept up with it. So,
I was originally part of. God damn it! I just lost. Oh my God! How can I not? SB Nation.
Okay.
Jesus. Which then sold out to Vox. Which
we have a couple people that left from there.
Yeah. So. We have Ashton Jeanty is number 2, and that's supposed to be bad because Jamarcus Russell was bad 18 years ago. Stop it. Stop that shit. Now, there was a tweet, and this is from Twitter user Rob, just Rob, at Quintoris with 2 R's and an underscore. The Atlanta Falcons released their draft numbers. Adam Schefter tweeted about it. Falcons first-round draft picks, Jalen Walker will wear number 11 and James Pierce Jr. number 27. Walker, 11. Pierce Jr., 27. Watts, 31. Bowman Jr., 33. Nelson, 69. Nice. And Rob quote tweeted it with the following, and I quote, "Absolutely disgusting. I will never respect this team ever again the rest of my days on this planet. Giving out number 11 shows how much of a joke the Falcons franchise will always be." Bro. Number 1, it's a number. It's a number. It doesn't matter. They didn't used to have numbers. They don't need numbers. It's only for broadcasting purposes. It's only so the guy on TV can see the number and know who it is. It's a number. They don't need them on the jersey. Number 2, there have been players on the Falcons since Julio Jones that have worn number 11. Calm down. Calm down. You don't.
I think if there's a reason to be disgusted, it's passing on Jalen Carter when he's in your backyard. And I think that would have been a reason to be disgusted, not whatever this number bullshit is.
We and our Tyree Wilson shares don't need to talk about that. Thank you. If I have any one hero in the NFL, it's Howie fucking Roseman.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Every time,
I'm pretty convinced that he reads my shit.
Every time we go through the draft, I go through the Eagles and just go, God damn it, God damn it, God damn it, God damn it. Now, Spytech pulled over the scouting head that worked under Roseman in Philly, and I'm excited about that. The restructured front office in Las Vegas, we are actually competent adults now, as opposed to the last few years.
When he was in Tampa, though, they never took a first-round running back.
I know. That's why I didn't think they were going to, and we were going to get Membo, and everything was going to be great.
I'm pretty convinced that Pete Carroll ran their draft.
That he obviously had a lot of input, and I'm sure Chip Kelly did too. It wasn't the build that I anticipated coming out of Spytech. I was convinced he was taking an offensive lineman at the 106.
Yeah,
and you know, I was now pleasantly surprised. I was kind of part of it was I was there and I went. And I had just gone on. So when I was getting on a plane in San Diego, I jumped on Black Team Broadcast. Shout out Black Team. Shout out Corey, aka Mike Tyson. Best recap videos on Twitter. And so I go on that show, and it's a Raiders show, and they're like, "What's going to happen?" I was like, "We're taking Membu. There's no reason for us to take Jeanty. Spytech's not going to do it. It's not part of his MO." And then I get to Green Bay, and I'm sitting there in the media room, and they announce it. And I was like, okay, time to go on shows and give reactions and everything.
If what I think will happen turns out to be right, you'll have that clip forever. You'll be on the right side.
That's true. All right. Man, this went a little bit longer than I anticipated, but you are very easy to talk to, and I really, really want to have you on again. We've got a whole host of shows. We've got dynasty shows. We've got redraft shows. We got guest opportunities on 3 or 4 different platforms: Player Profiler, Undroppables, Uncovered, and I'd love to invite you on everything to come and talk football. If you would come back,
let everybody you want.
Sweet. Let everybody know who you are, where you're at, and where they can find all your shit, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, so you can find me vendettasportsmedia.com. Thank you. Do a lot of different shit. I do fantasy hockey, hockey in general, all the sports basically. I try to cover everything. So I used to work in baseball. And then actually we're putting out a new product that should be out pretty much any day now. The prototype's out. It's called vendettafantasycontest.com. It's basically going to be a fantasy league of gambling. So let's say you set up your NFL contest, you go in and gamble on the games, and whoever has the highest fake dollars at the end of the contest wins. I think it's going to be something that revolutionizes the industry in the coming years, and that's pretty much what we're working on.
So okay, so let's the host, man, but the viewer. What's up, Jamie? Best viewer in the industry. Vendettasportsmedia.com. It's on the crawl. Let's talk about that game. So you said it's gambling, but it's without money. So kind of similar to fantasy. If you're playing in a free league, you get to feed your degeneracy without harm.
Well, the reason why I wanted to come up with something like this is back in the day, though, they had prohibition. Nobody could drink alcohol. And then they started coming out with fake beers. So I wanted to come out with sort of the fake beer of the gambling industry, to where, like, DraftKings and all these places are being sued. Like, why can't we be the responsible gambling machine? So
okay, we
already successfully patented it. Just basically working on a couple development tweaks, and we'll be ready to go. The prototype's out, but the full launch will be out in a couple days.
That sounds fun as hell. And I work in a liquor store, so I sell NA cider and NA wine and NA beer.
Mm-hmm.
I am a whiskey guy, so I haven't tasted non-alcoholic whiskey, but I'm
more of a wine guy.
Not looking forward to it. I don't know if I want to. Anyway, thank you for coming on the show, and we'll do it again. Thank you all, and Jamie, for watching, and we'll see you next week, 3:00 Pacific, 6:00 Eastern time. This has been Unhinged. Thanks, guys. Oh, stupid butt. All right.